Jackie Monahan. Hi,
Hi.
beautiful. You guys, we were going to go live 2 seconds earlier because we were talking about how beautiful Jackie Monahan is. Thank you guys for joining us. Welcome to Never Normal. You know what's not normal about us? We like to talk about how gorgeous we are. Jackie, will you please, for our audience, just finish? You guys are getting a backstage pass before we launch into the show of what we were just discussing before we went live.
Well, we were both
Hit him
discussing
with some truth bombs.
how people think that like for you, people were like, you never age, you never gain weight, and you're like, but I was in foster care. And I've always been like the same way, like afraid that like people just seemed jealous of me, and I'd be like, oh no, my parents are alcoholics. Like, no. But now that I'm in sobriety, I feel like I can just be like, oh, I'm sober, and they can surmise that something bad happened.
Totally. We were, obviously our show is called Never Normal, and so we're always trying to create like dialogues around that, like what is normal and whatever. So this is what prompted this conversation, and someone recently had said to me that I was like really lucky because I was like skinny and I don't age, and I was like, so I was telling the story to Jackie, like I feel like the day that God made me, he was like, it's not really luck. Like he was sitting down, he's like, let's see, okay, Renee Santos, what am I going to do with this clay? We'll make her a welfare foster kid. Her parents will both be illegal immigrants. She'll be an artist, so she'll never make more than $20,000 a year. We'll make her a drug addict. She'll be abandoned by her mom. You know what? We got to give her a freebie. She's never going to age, and she can eat as much pizza as she wants, I'm just like, hello, Sarah Glazer. Hi, guys. So today, can you hear me, Jax?
Yeah, I could eat whatever I wanted until this year.
Yeah.
I'm 39, but we are what? But yeah, all of a sudden I have to watch what I eat. It's not funny.
Yeah. So it's shifting in me too, but I find like my desire for self-care is better. Like I get excited when I get to do good things. Like, guess what? Da-da! Can you guys see this?
Shot! Everybody! Shot!
My arm does hurt a little bit, but other than that, I feel great. I just put some coronavirus in my body. Has everybody gotten vaccinated? You guys feeling good about this?
Vax it up.
Vax it up. Get one shot? Did you get one shot or two shots?
We're lucky we live in California where everybody just gets shots.
Shots.
I don't know anybody who's not getting it. Do you know anybody who's not getting it?
I honestly don't have anybody in my life that's not getting it.
Me too. We're lucky. It's very lucky.
I mean, I have to for my day job. Like, I can't even go. I can choose to go and leave. Like, they can't force you to get vaccinated.
Yeah.
It's kind of like when you go to an airport. Like, you don't have to have anybody check your bags. You just can't get on the plane. Like, you could choose to leave and not fly. So it's one of those things where I'm like, I think I'll go. But Sarah, you haven't gotten vaccinated, but you guys are going. You plan on it, right?
Still waiting to be eligible.
Okay. Soon. And April, where are you? Are you in California?
If you're in California, go to Dodger Stadium.
Yeah, Dodger State has a good. I went through my primary care, and I don't know if this is like some people say you don't have to, like you can just wait in line for the public service lines. But I was like, if I have insurance, I should do the right thing and just make an appointment. So oh yeah. Cool.
Sarah's in LA.
Well, I think we're all eligible in May.
Where's April? Where does April live?
April's not eligible for her vaccine in April.
Whoa!
But we're comedians too. So yes, I can't wait till everybody gets vaccinated, and then that will be normal, right? Once we normalize the vaccination, that's a whole another discussion. We'll save that for another week. But this week, you guys, we wanted to bring on board a really important conversation. As many of you know, Jackie and I are both sober. We've been sober for many years. And bravo to us. And we talk a lot about having access to the 12 steps of recovery. And it came to our attention that we feel like a lot of people, we should all have access to this. So we wanted to open up this dialogue. Please feel free to comment in the chat as we're discussing. And obviously, if there are other addicts out there and alcoholics that don't feel comfortable breaking their anonymity, we'll do it for you. No, I'm just joking. We won't, because that's against the principle.
I thought it was unanimous. Alcohol is unanimous.
I thought it was unanimous. Yeah, there's nothing like that. One time I was in a crosswalk in Brooklyn, and somebody just saw me, because everybody's a pedestrian in New York City, and they were like, Renee, like waving at me. This person was like, wait, and I'm like, how do I know them? You know, like it took me a second. They're like, Renee from Narcotics Anonymous. We go to the NA meetings. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, really? On the street? Have you heard nothing about anonymity? Not that anybody knew who I was, but I was like, that's a big no-no. You don't want to launch that out in the world.
Yeah, everybody's staring at you. I did the same thing to somebody else. There was a guy who I always loved his shares, and I was at a coffee shop. This is pre-quarantine, pre-pandemic. And I was just like, hey, I know you from the meetings. And he was just like, I was like, oh, sorry. But guess what? Now we're best friends. We talk all the time. So
I've had weird moments where I've accidentally said the wrong thing to a person. Like, you know, when you're clean and sober, you have 2 birthdays, as they like to call them, you know? So like
on the West Coast, on the East Coast, it's anniversary.
It is? Is it anniversary? Yeah. And I think it's also different because Jackie and I also go to 2 different fellowships. So still the 12 steps of recovery are implemented in both, but I go to NA and she goes to AA. So I think that's partly why we interchange on this platform, sober and clean, because in NA they say clean and AA they say sober, but it's the same thing. It's just different language.
Yeah.
But what was I going to say? I do.
Did I tell you I performed at an NA conference? And they did that countdown. They did that countdown.
The clean time countdown?
And I was sitting at the main table. I was opening for somebody. And I was sitting at the main table with the programmers and everything. Like, they have all these years. And I was only like a year sober. And when they found out I was a year sober, everybody there was like, what's Molly like? Like, they knew I took Molly because they never had Molly. It was really funny. I was like, well, it's pretty awesome.
That's really funny.
Guess who has taken Molly? I've only done every drug I've ever heard of, but I wasn't addicted to drugs, just alcohol. And I was very lucky. I had people actively trying to get me addicted to drugs. Well, alcohol is beautiful.
I mean, for me, and I can only share my experience, like one of the very first things I learned in recovery is that it's about attraction, not promotion. So I would never like try to sell my fellowship.
Never.
What just resonated for me is I noticed that even in like relationships, I had some like love addiction stuff, and I still had food addiction, even though like I wasn't overeating. I had a very unhealthy relationship to food and a lot of compulsive behaviors around food. And I was like, you know, I feel like I'm an addict. Like I'm an addict. It just, that language felt so inclusive, and the disease in my head was looking for a separation. So when I personally defined myself as an alcoholic, I felt like I gave room for that disease to negotiate with me, to be like, well, maybe you could do this, or maybe you could do that. Yeah. Whereas addict felt so all inclusive, because an alcoholic still is an addict. It's just the drug happens to be alcohol,
different.
But the drug.
Yeah, I think it's whatever works for anybody else. But I went to like, because I was there for a while, I went to a bunch of meetings, and I remember there was like one room that wasn't that attractive, but I was like, but I was just like, I am in the most beautiful room in the world. Not the people. I was talking about like the room itself just wasn't. And I was just like, this room is full of more beauty than like nature. Like just it was different. Like I love AA. It was different, but I'm so glad I had the experience of NA, because it's just more, it was just beautiful, the urgency of it, because it's really live or die. Because in AA, like it's a slow death, where in NA it could be tomorrow. If you use again, you could die tomorrow.
Yeah, and I think it's so true that it's like what resonates for you, because I've also felt like I've noticed that sometimes in Narcotics Anonymous, I haven't been able to really like find my group of people, and I have, but I've also been taught to look for the similarities, not the
Yeah.
differences. And so
Yeah.
I chose to go to the fellowship where the language of the fellowship resonate
Hmm.
for me. But I also, there's some people that say don't fellowship hop, but then I also have a real respect. Like we call it the mothership. AA is the mothership.
Right.
Like the 12 steps came from your fellowship. Like I have a lot of respect. When I was on tour in the Dominican Republic, there were no NA meetings. So like I went to AA meetings. And so to know that like that fellowship is really, um, it's been around for so long. But I also, for me personally, I think some of the language around, the beginning of the fellowship coming from a place of Christianity, I think was just difficult for me in the language, and I didn't like saying the Our Father at the end of meetings. Like that didn't work for
Yeah.
me. But I also know that that's traditional and that's not indoctrinated now, and that you can define your
Yeah,
higher
there's
power
no
how you want.
Christianity, or I wouldn't be there.
Yeah, for
Trust me.
sure. And I know
But there are
that's why,
there
like,
are meetings where they do Our Father, but I don't go to those. Those are like I don't go to those. Yeah,
for
they do
sure.
that. But what I'm glad that there's both. I love both too. But in the NA there was just such a beauty. There's beauty in AA too. Of course, I wouldn't even go there if there wasn't. But there was a beauty in NA, like just a life-saving human to human love connection in there that was like electric. And I just
Yeah.
loved it so much. I was crying. I mean, I've cried in AA too, like crying tears of seeing humanity raw and beautiful. The beauty, like true love is truth and beauty. And that's what I saw, truth and beauty. Like
And I
just,
feel like,
I
I
saw it
mean,
with my senses, not my
I
eyes,
feel
like
you.
with
One of the
my
first things I
energy.
ever heard in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, it's a really beautiful point. Like, I love what you're saying. I didn't mean to interrupt you. But
Awesome.
I feel like one of the first things I heard in an NA meeting was do not look down on anybody unless you're helping them up.
Yeah.
And I loved that. Like, because in full transparency, I have done a lot of work. I've been in the rooms for over 11 years. And I did have a little bit of like an elitist ego attitude when I had first come in. And I'm like, well, I don't know if I'm like these people, which is so funny because who the hell just stumbles into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting? Like, clearly I had to be there, you know? But
None of us got there on a winning streak.
yeah, exactly. I remember my sponsor saying, Renee, your very best thinking earned you a seat in Narcotics Anonymous. Like, stop using your thinking.
Yeah.
Good point. That's a real good point. But to that point, I've been having a lot of discussions, and maybe Sarah Lynn, since your comment just came up on her feed, I love weed. You've just broken your own anonymity. But I would love to talk to people who are not in the fellowship too. This is kind of like what I wanted to discuss today, because I feel like the 12 steps, it's just a toolbox for like coffee. Both those are
Am
coffee.
I an addict or not?
Am I not? I know, right? We still all have our vices. Come on. Come on. Which is partly why when you're in recovery, you're always in recovery. Like some people have asked me, like, oh, you still go to those meetings because I have 7.5 years clean, or, oh, are you recovered? Sometimes my family uses it in past tense. And I'm like, you're not recovered. You're always in recovery. It's like a diabetes in that way, where it's like you
Yeah.
can take care of it and you can live a very long, prosperous life with diabetes. But if you pretend you don't have diabetes, you will die of it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like you can't
Yeah.
ignore it, but it's like a lifelong illness where there is no cure. Like there's just the disease is just arrested a day at a time by you not actively using, but it doesn't ever
Yeah.
go away. Like when you're an addict, when you're an alcoholic, you're always an addict. You're always an alcoholic.
Right. But like if you do the program really well, the feeling that the compulsion to want to drink or use is gone. Like I've been taught that if I want to drink, I'm in my disease and I've got to like up my game if I even want to. But knock on everything around, I haven't wanted to. But that is probably because I work a really good program.
Totally. And so there is that level of vigilance, which is
Yeah.
why you continually work the 12 steps. There's also, you don't just do the 12 steps once. You just keep doing them because
Yeah.
there are new things that'll show up in your life. But, and I think that's so important. But I also feel like, instead of me just saying what I feel about, do you feel like regular people should have access to this toolbox?
Yes, yes. And it's so funny when Renee suggested this topic, I had woken up that morning thinking it. It was really weird, very synchronistic. Yeah, but in a way, okay, in a way they do. There's a 12 step for almost everything right now. Like, I didn't know that. There's a 12 step for people who clutter. There's a 12 step for people who are in debt. There's a 12 there's 12 step for smoking. Like, if you have a compulsion for something, look it up. They have a 12 step for it. But to the other point that you're saying is, should somebody who doesn't have a compulsion at all in any way, which I don't know if there's such a thing, but say there is, should they do a 12 step? Because I say yes, because it's a recipe for living happily.
Totally, it so is. And for those of you that are not in a program, you know, basically in a layman's breakdown, the 12 steps, and maybe I'll do 1 through 6. You do 7
Yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So the first step is I'm not going to list them out in the language of the 12 steps, but just so that the layman sort of like understand the layman. That sounds unfair. In fact, speaking of never normal, I'm taught they're called normies, people who are not in recovery.
Yeah.
So you guys are the normal ones. What? But so basically the first step is like your life becomes unmanageable, right? And you admit that you're powerless over fixing this all by yourself, basically. Yeah. And then in the second step, you basically, that's more third step, but you like
want me to read it to you?
Get out of your own way so that something else can restore you to sanity. Like, you admit that you need to be restored, that you're like, you can't do this on your own. So in the third step, you come to believe that a power greater than you are, and it could be a group. It doesn't have to be like a higher power doesn't have to be any indoctrinated religious God. It can be, if that resonates for you. But sometimes, like initially when I came in, God was the group. Oftentimes just the consciousness of the group. Some people call it good orderly direction, where you start to take a suggestion outside of yourself, as opposed to trying to, because the problem is you can't fix your old thinking with your old thinking. So the only way to get new thinking is to take a suggestion outside of, you know what I mean? Like, you can't fix the problem from the brain that created the problem. So that's kind of what the first 3 steps are saying, is like, you admit that, shit, I need some help. And then you come to believe into something bigger that could help you in that restoration.
It's like, who wouldn't want to do that?
Like, who wouldn't want to do that? And then the fourth step is you take a fearless and moral inventory, which is basically journaling about like everything. At first you get to vomit, and it's like, it's sort of cathartic. It's like a free write journaling where you're like, everybody done me wrong. You can have all the victim consciousness you want. And then at the end, you write about what is your part. And then after that, you sort of dissect, that's where your control is, right? That's where you actually get your power back in your life, but when you admit what your part is, that's the part that you can change. And the fifth step is basically just sharing your fourth step with somebody else to keep you accountable. Like, we're only as sick as our secret. So when we read our inventory to somebody else, that allows us to sort of get perspective, and we're able to then sort of dissect what our character defects are. And character defects sounds really menacing, but really what character defects is just a personality trait that's gotten distorted over time. Like, for me, one of my character defects is communication, right? I'm an artist. I'm a stand-up comedian. I'm an actor. We're doing this vlog, right? But my family calls me constant monologue, because I don't know how to shut my pie hole, and I interrupt people and never let people get a word in edgewise. So it's both, like, it's just a personality trait that needs to get right size, where I don't need to get rid of that. I just need to know how to channel my communication. And then, so your defects sometimes are your assets. So anyway,
I call it character defaults.
I like that.
Because we have to change the habits, because we go to those all the time. And also I call it ineffectual behavior, that we have to change to get to another side. But also, all of my character defaults, defects, ineffectual behavior became my superpowers.
Yeah,
one was I was hypersensitive. So now I'm hypersensitive to when I'm not in alignment with myself or my higher power. So I'm hypersensitive so then I can get myself back. So now it's a superpower. And the other one was that I was over dependent. I was over dependent on other people. Now I'm over dependent on a power greater than myself.
Right. And sometimes I've learned, I don't know if you've had this experience, like in my early recovery, I sort of found myself addicted to my recovery. Like I was so scared to not be vigilant that I had so many commitments, and I was addicted to Narcotics Anonymous, and I was doing too much step work that I wasn't showing up for other areas of our lives. And the point of doing the 12 steps is that it gives you the freedom to go like back into the world and still be a part of society. It's not supposed to remove you from society, you know?
Yeah, no. It's so that you have tools to deal with society. But it's nice.
That's a great thing. Yeah. April does box breathing to deal with stress. Will you tell us what? I'm only interjecting just because I'm curious. What is box breathing? Do you breathe? You breathe in a box? You put your head in a box, April?
I've done rebirthing breathing and breath work, and it's
box breathing, like lesbian box breathing.
I've never heard of. You like breathe into your own.
You breathe into your vagina, April? What happens? I don't
understand.
What?
April, we want to know what this box breathing is.
All of a sudden, the Jersey came out in me. We got, you know what I'm saying?
April, if you don't freaking find out about this box breathing. April, what is this box breathing? Maybe you get in a box.
Maybe you could get in my box. No, I'm just joking. I just harassed you. Didn't mean to do that.
Get back in her harassment videos. What is in the box? Elizabeth.
What's in the box? I don't know. What do you want to be in the box, Elizabeth?
What's in the box?
Liz is my Hoboken peep. What?
Oh my God. Hoboken is where I had my favorite show. It was at Danny Aiello's room. Elizabeth, do you ever go see me perform at Danny Aiello's room?
No. Okay, so April, now you've got other people curious about what's in the box. We need to know what's in this box breathing.
Should we keep going on with the steps and then
so we walked through step 6. You want to do 7 through 12?
Okay. Step 7. Dun, dun, dun. We humbly ask a power greater than ourselves to restore us to sanity and to remove our character defects, which is amazing. You just turn it over. And then it's just amazing. And then we make a list of all the people we have harmed, which for me, I just did a blanket statement on Facebook. No, I'm like,
yeah, just a blanket. So then that's when you just send out a mass post to all the people you fucked up for years. No, just joking. But let's interject for a second because look, Elizabeth, April answered the question. We're on the 8th step. Don't forget that. But
okay.
4 seconds of breathing and holding in for 4. Oh, I know what you're talking about, where you go to like I have done box breathing. I just thought box breathing was cunnilingus for a second, but this is way better.
Breathing and
have you done that where you right, and then you hold your breath, you wait 4 seconds before you release the breath? I've done it. That's a great suggestion.
It really works.
Maybe we should do a box breathing session at the very end. We'll do a small meditation, guys, at the end of Never Normal.
Ooh la la. Yeah, everybody do box breathing. We'll do box breathing.
Like, out of here.
Yeah.
So you make a list of people that you become willing to make amends. Can I ask you a question? Did you put yourself on your 8th step, Jackie Monahan?
Oh, yeah.
I had to make the biggest amends to myself.
Me too. It was beautiful. And you think I thought like, oh, I don't have to do this. I can just do it in my head while I'm walking around cleaning or doing housework or, but no, really reading that out to somebody else is like everybody cries. You cry, your sponsor cries.
Because it's vulnerability, you know what I mean? It's like they're really, vulnerability is strength. And like it's just this willingness to be seen. And also what I have found is like when we tell on ourselves and we have a willingness to get better and we kind of share what makes us fallible and human and unpolished and sometimes not so graceful, it gives permission to other people to be the same, which is part of the reason why for this very discussion, I think every human being should have access to these 12 steps, because this is not unique to the addict's experience. I think this toolbox was created for addicts because our lives were at stake they're still at stake every single day. only 10%
Yeah.
of us ever get
Well,
recovery. Like
and
we
also I
die
can
of
sleep
this.
at night now. Like
Mhm.
before doing the steps, there was stuff that I did subconsciously to me that like kept me up at night because it was you have like some like just like letting it out relieves that. So every night I go to sleep peacefully because I'm not worried about something I did.
Yeah, because you've
I've
been able to go
shared it
through
and
that.
gotten it out. And then every night, oh, did I get to it yet? Wait, step 8, make direct amends. We said that. So
Nice.
then step 10, I do a nightly 10 step detailed to my sponsor, but not everybody does this.
And
But
so what is a 10 step for the audience?
I'd say what I assess my net day and see where I had fear, self-pity, or resentment. And
So it's
then
kind of like a daily inventory. Like
it's a
instead of
daily
like the fourth
inventory.
step is a big inventory, and the 10th step is like a daily inventory where you in that way you can make immediate amends or whatever. But
Yeah.
yes, continue.
Yeah. So I'll tell her like and I'll write it all out and send it to her, and then she'll comment back. And it's always beautiful. And I don't even realize I have that self-pity. So this way it doesn't build up. Like if I keep self-pity in me, it'll end up being I'll live in victimhood. That's the most unsexy place to live is
So true.
self-pity or
So
victimhood.
the 10th step makes you sexier, guys. That's the moral of the
It
story.
really does. It's the
It really
sexiest
does.
thing.
The 12 steps make you sexier in general, I think.
They
Okay,
really
so
do.
hit us with 11.
And 11 is constant contact with our higher power. It could be our higher self. Like we have to admit there's something more powerful that knows more than us.
Yeah.
Like, come on, try to stop.
I mean, think about it. Like, I do think, as just a little bit of an aside, like one of the most anthropomorphic problems in the world is like everything that created us, like the biological composition of Renee Santos had nothing to do with me. I didn't do anything to create this. So for me to think now that I come into this brain that I somehow have control over it all by myself, when I'm like, I'm not even responsible for being here. But yet, for me, sometimes the higher power is just, why is it that we all have some type of striving for purpose? Like, none of us asked to be here, but yet when we're here, we have this pull to do something with our existence. That pull, that like need for purpose or need to call to our purpose, that to me is God. That's God. God is an energy. It's the here, the now, the space in between. It's not this like being in the sky. It's that pull to be our fuller selves, to help humanity evolve, to contribute, to take responsibility for the space we take up in the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's to wake up to our true selves, our authentic, beautiful, beautiful inner and outer beauty. Like just truth. It's truth, beauty, love, energy. Okay. And 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we carry this message. And practice the principles in all of our affairs. And so it's just carrying the message and carrying it through every single day. I mean,
and carrying the message is not preaching. That's what I think is really interesting. You know, and not that you ever, I mean, part of a perfect example of the 12, like carrying the message, doing the 12 step, I think is our relationship too. Like we were just sharing our experience, strength, and hope in our own individual programs. We realized like, we could really benefit each other and possibly other people just by sharing it. Not about, we're not trying to proselytize or, you know, like it. That's the thing. Like if I've learned anything, you can't, that's why interventions oftentimes don't work if not done well, is that you can't shame somebody into recovery. You can't convince them into recovery. Like it's about attraction to who you are, to what you're sharing, to, you know, it's that thing. So I think the 12 step is just kind of carrying that message into the world, but not always like sometimes when I'm at Starbucks, I'm using my 12 step and not no one knows I'm in NA. It's more of an energy of like being of service to other people and having a desire to like get out of yourself and take this toolbox that is giving you these tools to be able to like cope and have zen, or if somebody's pissed that I made a latte wrong, to be able to say to my partner, give them a sense of calm, like, okay, this is out of our control. We can't control people, places, and things. That's all messaging. And then we're able to recalibrate that energy and be of service to somebody at Starbucks without anybody really knowing. it was
Right.
really the 12th
Right.
step, you know,
And
in a way.
that's in something that we read every day just for today. And one of it is to do somebody a good turn without telling anybody. And
Yeah.
that's my favorite thing to do, because then it's just between me. I know I did something really good for somebody else every day, and I don't tell anybody about it. Like, it even feels bad me saying it right
Yeah.
now because I like
Except
it.
for on Never Normal. It's
Yeah.
okay. There are only 2 people watching. So you didn't
Yeah.
tell everybody. You only
Yeah.
told 2 people.
Because but it feels so good to not have a compulsive need to prove that I'm a good person. I know it's esteemable acts every day. I know I do something good for somebody without them knowing, and I get to feel great about myself for doing that. Like the me before doing the 12 steps, hell no. I felt like I did too much for other people. The difference was I did stuff for other people to get something, to have them like me, to be like, if I do that for them, maybe they'll do this for me. Now I do everything because it's the next right thing. And then
Yes.
so that I'm polishing over here to shine over here. Like, I know if I do the next right thing all the time, I'm going to feel good about myself, and I'm going to get beautiful things in return, because what you put
Totally.
out to the
And
world comes back.
I agree with that. And it's like, you don't, words don't really teach. I mean, even though we're sitting here and we're on a show and we're spewing out words, it's not, it's the messaging like behind it. Like, it's
Yeah.
how I live my life. Because the reality is, like, I can sit here all day and tell you that I'm clean and sober, but when we walk away from this, like, we actually stay clean and we go and live our lives, and life comes at us, and like, you know,
Yeah.
we practice these principles in all our affairs, and like that's what recovery is about. But to the point of like having other people have access to this, like, all of our lives get unmanageable. We all need restoration. We all need to take an inventory and like tell on ourselves, and we all have character defects, and we all need to like get right sized. And I'm sure we all have experiences where it like gets distorted, where we either think we're the greatest thing in the world or we're like a complete piece of shit. What person have you not talked to in life? And that's what the 6 and 7 step is. It just get right sized means like you get to that middle ground where you're not the piece of shit, but you're also not the greatest thing in the world, but you're important and you're unique, and so is everybody else. And it's like that, if human beings could get to that place, there would be so much, the world would be so much better. This comparison of we've got to outdo somebody else or be more relevant than somebody else, or our experience, if we don't have the same experience, our lives are not as important, or all of that comes from this distorted perception of our
It's
personality traits.
destroying the notion of superiority and inferiority, that we're all one, we're all equal. And that is what one of the main characteristics of for alcoholics is, thinking we all, it's a big quality that we think that we are better than everybody or worse. And when through doing these steps, we know that we're right sized. And that's like something I do through the day. Like, if I ever feel myself thinking I'm superior or inferior, I'm like, right size Jackie, right size Jackie. And it's for the world. It makes the world a better place, but it makes this a better place. It makes me
so
happy as hell. Yeah.
I feel like it's also so inclusive, because the interesting thing about addiction is it does not discriminate. It doesn't care if you're white, if you're wealthy, if you're black, if you're gay, if you're straight. Addiction doesn't give a fuck who you are or what you are or where you come from or how much money you have in the bank in your bank account. Like, and there's something sort of beautiful about the fact that addiction doesn't discriminate. Please don't take a clip of, there's something great about discrimination. Imagine somebody like isolates that clip. I'm like, I said the wrong words. I didn't mean it. But yeah, so like, we are all from source. April, will you stay on board with us? We're going to wrap up in like about 10 minutes, but I really do want to do a meditation, a guided your breathing exercise.
Wait, can we show my friend the normal video? Did you have that? Set that up?
Yeah, we're going to do that. That's what I just want to make sure she stays on board so we can circle back.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Apologies.
Because we're never normal. So, for those of you who've been joining us for season 2, we decided that we would actually start, instead of just opening our own pie holes, that we would integrate other people into the conversation. and each week we have a guest and ask them what never normal is to them. So this week we have a special guest. Jackie, do you want to introduce who our special guest is?
His name is Dart Tartanian.
And who is Dart D'Artagnan?
He's in my writers group. He's one of a kind. You'll see. He's great. He's a writer.
Awesome. Yep. Well, here we're gonna keep going. I was just filling the time. You're just filling it. All right, so here's Jackie's interview with Dart, everybody. Enjoy. We'll be back in a few.
Hi, Dart. Hey. How are you?
Doing all right. It's good to see you again.
It's good to see you too. And I'm asking you today what your definition of normal is.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really interesting topic, because when you're growing up, or just trying to be an adult in general, people are always telling you or shaping you up against an idea of what normal is. And to me, it sounds more like a condition than an objective quality in any one person. It's more like, oh, here you are on a scale or a spectrum. You're this far from normal, and you could be very uncomfortable from that, or you could be glad about it. So I think it's really conditional, and it's more contextual than some sort of generic thing we can apply to all sorts of situations.
I love that. I love that answer. And that's how I thought this up. First of all, was when they said, can't wait to go back to normal. I was like, let's have something better than going back.
Yeah. No, definitely. Like, normal was not great for a lot of people,
Yeah. And I remember being in Austin, and, there were signs everywhere, like, keep Austin weird, which I loved. But I feel like people that are in herd mentality, I feel like they're the weird ones. But I do love keep Austin weird. But I also love, let's not keep normal mentality or herd mentality.
Right. And maybe weird is the normal that they want. Like, that's why I think it's really situational and depends on the context. Because or keep Portland weird, for example. That was a thing there as well. Right. So maybe what's weird there is really what's normal there, and then what's weird here in Los Angeles is the opposite. It's all sorts of different situations.
Right. So I love it. Anything else you could think of with normal? Do you think of yourself as normal?
I think I thought, or actually, now that you mention it, in about 3rd or 4th grade, an acquaintance said, "You know what, you're weird." And my first reaction to that was like, sure, okay, that's cool. Yeah. As long as I'm me, like, I'm happy being weird,
Absolutely. Yeah. I think the world needs more people that are their authentic self. So thank you, Dart, for being one of those people. It's really it's really the most beautiful thing anybody can do, is to be themselves.
Oh yeah, I agree. That's sort of been one of my own little mantras and goals in my own life. If I can help someone feel comfortable just being around me, or being them, if that can make someone be themselves, not make them, but if I can encourage them and help create a space where they can be their authentic selves, I think that's a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Me too. Dart, we're on the same page. High five. Wi-Fi. High five. Thank you for being on this interview.
Thanks for inviting me. This was fun.
Thank you for being you.
Likewise.
May the force be with you. It goes.
I think this is Star Trek.
It's the opposite. What did they say in Star Trek?
I think it's live long and prosper.
Oh, live long and prosper. And may the force be with you. And may the force be with you.
Dun, 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 dun.
Wi-Fi, high five.
Wi-Fi, high five. Whoops. Wi-Fi, high
five. You did it backwards. How fun was that? He was fun.
Yeah, he's great.
I love people who can embrace their weird. I remember somebody telling me one time, you stick out like a sore thumb. And I'm like, but I kind of want to stick out like a sore thumb.
Yes.
But then I went around telling people I stuck out like a green thumb, and that people thought I was
That's
a really
really funny. That's really funny.
I'm not good at gardening at all.
That's really funny though. I stick out like a green thumb. When I was like, I don't like it. I like it when I call myself weird, but then when other people would call me weird, it depends on how they say it. Like, you're weird. It's like, yay. But if someone's like, you're weird, you're just like, ugh.
It's all
but
about
not now.
Intonation, for sure.
I'm older now, but it's fine. But I remember my friend Patrick, he and I worked at a place together, and everybody said that Patrick was weirder than me, and I was really angry. And we had like a contest on who was weirder. And then there's a comedian, Liz Stewart, who's hilarious. You can watch her on Amazon. I was really mad because people said she was weirder than me. They said she was weirder. I was a little bit more grounded, and I was really mad.
I love how that insulted you.
And everybody thought I was kidding that I was that mad, but I wasn't mad. Like I love her. It's a nice compliment, and I think she's great. That to equate us both as weird, but her being weirder made me want to be even weirder. I felt like I wasn't being my authentic self because I felt like there was a way I was holding back my authentic self because I felt like I was weirder. I don't know. But it's funny. It's funny how it depends on, like, sometimes if somebody ever called me Butch, if someone says like, Jackie, you can't be Butch, I'm like, I can be Butch. It's the same thing with weird. If somebody's like, you're not weird, I'm weird. And then if they're like, you are weird, I'm like, no, I'm not.
Yeah, but it also takes away the power if like you embrace it. If someone's trying to insult you and they're like, you're weird, and I'm like, you're totally right. I'm super weird. I'm like, thank you.
Yeah.
It's like the whatever you are, like if somebody calls me a dyke, like if I call myself a dyke, I'm not gonna, like, it takes the power away from the insult when you're like, I can embrace it myself. So yeah, weird is awesome. And for those of you who are joining us, we wrap up in about 3 minutes, but I really do want to do this thing because I love that April Dawn Duncan is not an addict, but has a meditation practice and a breathing exercise. So we are going to close Never Normal tonight. By those of you that are viewing, we are going to do April's guided. Are you guiding us? You can't really guide and meditate. Weird is awesome.
Yeah.
So, April, before we start, will you give us a really quick breakdown? We breathe to the top, like through our bellies, right? We breathe into our bellies for 4. Am I getting this right?
Do you want to bring her in?
Do you want to come in and guide the meditation for us, April? Or is that super weird?
Weird is good. April, do you want to come in, or we can do it? But if April wants to do it, that might be fun. I can't really guide, but we'll do it with you.
Okay, so let's do it together.
Okay.
Not a problem. No pressure, April.
Okay, so 4 in. Oh, 4 counts.
Yes, belly breathe.
Then let out for 4.
So you guide it, Jackie, and I'm going to set a timer for 2 minutes so we all do it
together,
and then we will begin. Ready, go.
Breathe in.
Hold it at the top. So you're slowly exhaling for 4, holding it for 4, exhaling for 4. And if you're with us and this isn't resonating for you, just being conscious of your breath is also a form of meditation. 15 more seconds, Jackie. You're cheating. You just messed it up. That's our timer. How did everybody feel? Did that feel like the longest 2 minutes of your life?
I loved
I
it.
loved it too. And that's it, because we're never normal, we just publicly meditated. It's better than
Yeah.
publicly masturbating. We
Yes.
meditating. We're
Yes.
publicly
You know, that's one of my
meditating.
jokes.
Yeah, that's why I'm giving you a throwback. I think
Thank you.
no worries, April. It's okay. So we like threw you. She doesn't have her video. Yeah. No worries, because
She
we're not
put,
normal. We was like, just come on to the show. That was
Sharon Houston. Do you know Sharon Houston? Oh, where did you go? Sharon Houston. I love Sharon. Everybody follow Sharon on everything. Sharon knows everything and she does everything. And she's an amazing comedian. She has a great album called Sharoon Sharoon. It's really funny. And she's a genius. Follow Sharon Houston on everything. Follow Sharon on Instagram. You will follow Sharon on Instagram and have the best life ever. If you follow Sharon on Instagram, guaranteed to have the best life. You will live your best life if you follow Sharon on Instagram and Twitter and every other platform. Follow her and you will have the best life ever. My album isn't that great. Your album is great, Sharon. I don't know where my co-host went. Sharon Houston, follow her on everything. Sharon has a great new apartment, but we're not going to talk about that because we don't want anybody to stalk her. Don't stalk Sharon in person. You can go to her shows. Her live shows are amazing. A lot of times Sharon and I perform at the same venue, which is Akbar. Is Akbar still there? Follow Bob and Donna. Yeah, follow Bob and Donna. Sharon has this great show called Bob and Donna, and she's hilarious. She's obviously married to a gay man, but they're really funny. They go all over the place. Thank you, Sharon. Follow her.
Can you see me now, Jax?
Yeah, you're back.
I'm so sorry. My computer was not plugged in and it just died. So, and now there's also a weird delay. In the moment where Sharon Houston came on, who is
it's
amazing,
good because Sharon got a lot of props, so that's good. And Sharon is amazing. Renee, do you know Sharon?
Yeah. We did a virtual show a little while ago, and she's also Cuban. My computer is really like flubbing up. I don't know what it is, but I'm on a very weird delay.
Oh, the bar is open. Don't know when the bar will open. That's awesome, though. I'm really glad Akbar is still there. That's fantastic. Thank God, because Akbar is one of my favorite places on earth. To be honest, it's akin to its name. Like it's like the Akbar is that bar in Star Wars.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, but it's like where everybody can be themselves. It's a gay bar. But like it's so fun and joyful. And the dancing there is amazing. And we do a comedy show there.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Well, we should wrap up for today. My computer's going to continue to spasm. I don't mean to, but like I'm on a weird delay. I can only see myself talking.
All right, let's get back. I love you, Sharon. Thank you, everybody.
Sharon, thank you for coming on. I'm so sorry to like end it, but you are amazing. She's a really funny fellow Cuban. And I didn't want to post your comment about your album not being awesome because that is a lie. And you should affirm that you're brilliant. Because you are.
Akbar is Admiral in Star Wars. Oh, okay. Sorry. I said the wrong thing. But it is, everybody gets to be themselves. But that's kind of all of our life. But Akbar is one of my favorites.
It is normal. Everybody should be able to be yourself. And
be yourself, everybody. We love you. Be
yourself and get vaccinated. Dun, dun, dun.
Get vaccinated. Get vaccinated.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for a wonderful show. We love you.
Sharon, let's go bike riding soon.